I always love it when my students ask me how many questions are going to be on the exam, because one, I never know the answer because I write them for each class. And two, saying that there's one question or saying that there's 10 questions, it depends on what that question is. Well, today in this video, we only have one question, so it should be easy, right? This is where we combine all the properties. So these are all of our properties that we've introduced. We're going to use them all. And where's my scroll bar? We're going to use them on these ones. So it's only one example, but it's got 3 parts and each one's a doozy. So just take it slow. Don't be overwhelmed. Take your time. Do the steps. Get the right answer. Just get the right answer. That's all there is to it. Example 613. And then we'll move on to scientific notation for the last 2 videos. All right, so let's use all these rules and simplify. We're starting with 4x to the 5th y squared z. That whole thing is getting squared, and then multiplied by 2x to the 4th y to the negative 2nd z cubed, all raised to the 4th power. So lots of stuff being done here, step by step, one thing at a time. Let's simplify this guy first. Okay, so it's all getting squared. Everything multiplied is getting squared, so we square each part. 4 squared, 16. X to the 5th squared. Multiply those exponents. X to the 10th. 2 times 2, 4. Z is also getting squared. So that's the first thing. Squaring each part using rule number 4 and rule number 3 on your sheet. I will do the same thing for this next one. 2 to the 4th power, 16. Multiply the exponents. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. 3 times 4 is 12. We are going to have to deal with that negative eventually. You want to deal with it now? You want to deal with it later? Your choice. But like most things in life, we will have to deal with it eventually. There's no burying heads in sand here. Things have to get dealt with. If you want the right answer, I suppose. Okay. So I'll deal with it later. It's a problem for future me. Now everything's getting multiplied, so let's multiply the numbers together first. 16 times 16, use your calculator, you should get 256. X to the 10th times x to the 16th, product rule. They're multiplied, they have the same base, add those exponents. We get x to the 26th. Y to the 4th times y to the negative 8. Add them together. 4 plus negative 8. That's 4 minus 8. That's negative 4. It's also a y. And z squared times z to the 12th. Add those exponents, z to the 14th. We're almost done. It looks pretty nice, or relatively. The last thing is to get rid of that negative exponent. Negative exponent transforms it from the top to the bottom and vice versa. You might say, Jason, there is no bottom. There is, right? Any number can be written as itself divided by 1. So that's our last step, is we just move that y to the bottom. 256, x to the 22nd. The y is no longer there. The y is no longer there, I said. Z to the 14th. And the negative gets used up. So the negative is moving it to the bottom. So don't keep the negative here. That's what moves it. The negative moves it. The negative is used. The negative is used up. It's gone. It's thrown away. It's an empty wrapper. Empty tank of gasoline. This is our final answer in all its glory. And that was just the first one, the first part of the example. We got 2 more, okay? So if you're very bold, I'd recommend pausing the video and trying it yourself. But if you just want to follow along and pause along, because I do go quickly, feel free. So again, anytime you have parentheses like this, you can decide, do I want to deal with the outside? Do I want to deal with the inside? Order of operations normally tells us to deal with the inside first, but as long as we use properties correctly, we can do either one. Here, I'm going to simplify the inside first, which means I'm going to leave that -3 alone. Just simplify this fraction. 5 divided by 15, how does that reduce? 1/3. Divide 5 by 5, divide 15 by 5. We don't need to write the 1 because we'll have other stuff up there. Probably. Ooh, these x's look a little tricky. You can do this in a couple different ways. Okay? Let's just deal with the negative exponent first. Let's not try to combine these yet. We have an x to the 10th, because we always had an x to the 10th. And let's use up this negative. We have a negative exponent. That's going to give us an x to the 8th in the denominator. This becomes a y to the 7th in the denominator. And this becomes a y to the 10th in the numerator. So let's double check to make sure we didn't miss anything. 5/15 we dealt with. The x's, yep, we dealt with both of those. The y's, yep, we dealt with both of those. Negatives are moving. Negative exponents are moving things from top to bottom and bottom to top. Now the inside can get simplified a little bit more. So let's keep the -3 on the outside and keep simplifying. The 3, nothing to be done with the 3. The x's, product rule. We get x to the 18th. The y's is going to be quotient rule. 10 minus 7 is 3. Does the y cubed go on the top? Does the y cubed go on the bottom? Every time we use the quotient rule, it's always on the top. Now the inside's fully simplified, and we can use this -3. So again, we have a fraction with a negative exponent. This negative, let's use it up. We're using up the negative, so now it's gone. When we use it up, we flip this whole fraction. 3x to the 18th divided by y cubed. And the last step is to cube everything. 3 cubed should give you 27. Multiply these exponents together should give you 54 maybe. And the bottom, multiply the exponents, you get y to the 9th. I was going to go for a run tonight, but I'm winded after that problem. I think I got my exercise for the day. Bad jokes are an important part of everyone's math class. Even yours. All right. You survived this long. What's one more nightmarish problem? Example C. 613C. Lay it on me. Let's go. 2x squared, y cubed. That's all being raised to the 4th power, times x to the 4th, y to the -6 being raised to the -2th power, otherwise known as -2nd. X to the -6, y to the 4th squared. So we got negative exponents here. So we want to make the negative exponents go to the top. But it's a little hard because the negative exponents have got baggage. And like all baggage in life, we got to deal with the baggage first. Well, you don't have to, but it's recommended when possible. So let's deal with these exponents in each piece. Deal with this 4. Deal with this -2, put it in. Deal with this 2, put it in. And then these things can interact with each other. So 2 to the 4th, 16. X squared to the 4th, multiply those exponents. Y cubed to the 4th, multiply those exponents. That's the first thing. Second thing, multiply the exponents. -8, multiply the exponents. +12. Multiply the exponents, -12, multiply the exponents, 8. It's already looking a lot better. Maybe I'm in denial. Now let's simplify in the numerator. Again, there's a lot of order in which you can do these things. I'm going to simplify the numerator. 16 has nothing to interact with. There's no other numbers in the numerator. X to the 8, x to the negative 8, product rule. Let's add them together. That's x to the 0th. X to the 0th. Oh, we had a property for that. X to the 0th is just 1. The y's, y 12th, add them together, y to the 24th. And we'll leave the bottom alone for a bit. So remember that this guy, that's 1. So it kind of cancels itself. It's gone. And now, what do we have? On the top, we just have 16 y to the 24th. On the bottom, oh, negative exponents are no good. Oh, and we could have used the quotient rule. We'll use the quotient rule later. This negative exponent becomes a positive exponent, and the x goes zoop, up to the top. And yes, I should have used the quotient rule. We'll use it now. Y to the 24th divided by y to the 8th. Subtract those exponents, which get y to the 16th. And we usually write the x first. Usually write our variables in alphabetical order. I'm not going to mark off points if you write them in reverse alphabetical order. But this should be our final answer. Okie-do? Okie-do. This video is over.